and Manchester United. Our chief football reporter Nick Collins is there. And Nick, for those just joining us from work this evening, just remind us of the news on Rio Ferdinand.
Well, Rio Ferdinand is out there, he's training, and the body language suggests he's going to be fine. That's what he told us at a news conference a little while ago. He has been training this week, and he's really anxious to be out there and make sure that he can be a part of Manchester United winning the trophy for the 4th time. He also said that he wouldn't take a risk, that it's a good enough squad that if he felt he wasn't 100%, then he wouldn't play. It isn't a case of him wanting to play in a cup final. The needs of the team are a bit stronger. Having said all that, it would be hugely tempting from Manchester United's point of view to play him, because here is a man who's made more than 300 appearances for the club. He's got more than 70 caps for his country. He picked the trophy up last year in Moscow. His experience is vast. He's just what United would want in terms of coping with the attacking threats of Henry and Eto'o. So yes, I'm sure we will see Rio Ferdinand playing. If there's a reaction overnight, that may change, but it does look as if that calf strain and the back problems that he has been having, well, hopefully that's a thing of the past from his point of view, and he certainly was positive about that at the news conference earlier this afternoon.
I've spoken to the manager, and he knows I wouldn't put myself in a position to be in the game if I wasn't 100% fit, because we've got a talented squad, and if my fitness was ever going to be detrimental to the team and the result, then I wouldn't play. I wouldn't do that to the team. And as I said, it's more important about the team winning than an individual playing in a cup final. I've been working hard with the physios at the club, training hard and working on the injury, so I don't see no problems. I've been training for 3 or 4 days now, so with no problems, so I'm fine.
So Rio Ferdinand confident that he is fit enough, despite 3 weeks out, to take his place in that starting 11. Alan Mullery is with us in the studio. Alan, you've been watching the training session. You saw a bit of that press conference earlier today, and he says he wouldn't put himself at risk. He wouldn't put the team at risk if he didn't think he was 100% fit. Can he be at the top of his game after 3 weeks out against such high-quality opponents?
Absolutely, because he is the best centre-half in the world. In that position, and he knows how good he is. He knows the quality. He's got great touch. He's a superb passer of the ball. He's got terrific pace. He heads the ball extremely well. He reads the game near enough as good as Bobby Moore did when he played. He's that type of player, and he's an inspiration when you get him in the side, because look at the size of him there on the picture. He's a big lad. He's very, very mobile. And if I was Alec Ferguson, I'd be even more delighted. I'd have a glass of wine tonight saying, I'm great, I feel great about Rio being fit. Yeah, put him in the side.
Because if Henry makes it and he joins up with Eto'o and Messi, has been the much vaunted attack right throughout the season, understandably so, just given the sheer amount of goals they've scored. But knowing that he's that rock in the defence alongside Vidic gives them a lot of food for thought.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, Pep Guardiola will look at that and say, I wish he'd have been out. You know, they've had Johnny Evans playing, who's very young and inexperienced at this level, but he would have done equally as good a job. But Rio Ferdinand is one of the best. So to get the best back into your side, you know, when you're playing in the the biggest end of game season, I mean, you just want him fit. You want him to play, and that's what he's going to do, I'm sure.
And one of the questions that was raised at the press conference, inevitably so, was who's the better player between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo didn't really want to ask it, just gave a little wink and pointed to his Manchester United manager to answer that particular question. But if you were a manager preparing to face either of these two players, who would worry you more?
Both of them. I mean, they both are fantastic players, there's no doubt about that. And what they do have, not only with the ability to run very, very quickly with the ball, and wonderful body movements where they send people different ways when they're running with it, you know, both of them have absolutely got great touch.
Who's got the better all-round game?
The better all-round game, I would think, would probably come from Messi. But neither of them work particularly hard in defending. You know, they're very, you're much better off saying to them, look, stay over the halfway line, we don't need you back here causing problems. You weren't born to defend, you were born to score goals and run at people and beat them, and that's what they both do equally well as each other.
And Cristiano Ronaldo is, most would agree, he's got a fairly large ego, and you can understand it when you've been given footballing gifts that he has. But would there be any concern from you that on an occasion such as this, with the world watching and those question marks about will he stay at Manchester United or not, up against who many regard as being really the world's best player, Lionel Messi, that he tries to outdo him and as a result gets lost within the game?
Well, I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't try and outdo Messi. I mean, we know how good Ronaldo is. You know, Messi, as I say, is equally as good. Messi will go into the game with the attitude that he always goes in, back. Very simple. He knows how good he is when he's got the ball. So the difficult thing for Manchester United is when he's got it, is to do something about it, which they've got to do. The difference between him and Ronaldo tends to run from longer, deeper positions than what Messi does. And when he's in full flight, you've only got to touch him and woof, and over he goes. But his ability to play, I mean, if I was as good as him, I'd be trying to show off as well. No doubt about it. I love people with egos, because normally they're very, very good players. But what you want on the night is you want the ego to be good. And want to play for you.
And Lionel Messi, I mean, 10 games now in the Champions League against English opposition, yet to score a goal. Didn't manage it against Chelsea. That would lead many to say, well, he is due one. But why, in your opinion, has he struggled against English defences?
I think because they've taken more notice of what Messi does. He's predominantly left-footed. Very, very rarely does he kick the ball with his right foot. But what he does with his left foot is a bit like, when I was a little lad, I watched a fella called Puskas play, and he had a left foot exactly the same as Messi. And he wasn't much bigger than Messi either. But you look at it, and it is technically probably as good a left foot as there is in the world today. Now, when you block Messi out to the positions they're in, don't let Messi come inside you if you're the left fullback. Keep him on the outside, keep him on his right foot, and just keep people challenging him as well. If you've got, say, Park or Rooney on one side, and they're going to come up against Messi at some stage, they're going to be putting pressure under him to do things quickly. And if you make him do things quickly instead of him doing things quickly, that does make it difficult for him. And I think British clubs have done that very, very well against him.
Seen Dimitar Berbatov in shot just a moment or two ago. We saw Carlos Tevez as well, full of smiles as ever, despite the continued speculation about his future. And it seemed after that final game of the season against Arsenal that he was waving goodbye at Old Trafford. What part, if any, would you expect those two to play tomorrow?
I'd expect them to play a big part tomorrow, depending on how the game goes. I mean, if Manchester United are in the game and winning it reasonably well, I expect them both to come on. If they're struggling, I would expect them both to come on, because they're two fantastic players. I mean, I watched the Manchester United game a couple of weeks ago here, and the game changed when Tevez came onto the pitch. I mean, it changed completely, the whole section of it, and I looked at it and I thought, just one change in the side and it started to work. And I think he's such an impact player, Tevez. He works, I mean, really like no other centre forward in the world works. He works back, he works forward, he works out to width positions, wide positions, and he does it extremely well. And the other thing he does, Simon, he scores goals, and that's what he's very good at.
I think we're looking there at the back of Darren Fletcher, who, despite agonisingly missing out on this because of that yellow card he picked up in the game against Arsenal, is training with the rest of his teammates. What are United lacking when he's not part? Because he's really come on this season, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant this season, Darren, I must admit. I mean, I never ever thought that I would see him play as well as what he's played this season. I thought he was a very good player, very workmanlike player for Scotland when I've seen him play for Scotland, but I've never seen the skill and ability that the boy's got this season, which he has. He's got tremendous, and I think he's a major part of Manchester United's side. I think the big question mark comes in because Darren can't play because of that dreadful decision by the referee in the semi-final. When he tackled Fabregas and he kicked the ball before he kicked Fabregas, and literally it's cost him a game in the European Cup final.
So how would you expect United's midfield to look tomorrow night?
I've got a funny feeling that he might go for experience and might go for Paul Scholes.
Really?
To play in that position.
Who scored against him in the semi-final?
Who scored against him in the semi-final last year. Scholes is great at that. Darren is a very young and enthusiastic player. But then again, I'm going back, I'm thinking about the brain, like, somebody has been there, worn the t-shirt and done it brilliantly. I mean, Bobby Charlton says he's the best Manchester United player Paul Scholes has ever seen.
Not a bad compliment, is it?
I mean, it's a wonderful compliment, and let's be fair, if Darren Fletcher's not going to play, then who better to go in and take his place than Paul Scholes?
And what about Ryan Giggs? I mean, his career just goes on and on. It's another Champions League final, another Premier League title for him just a couple of weeks ago. You'd expect him to be on the bench tomorrow night.
Yes.
What kind of role might he play?
Again, he will have a role, depending on how the game is going. If Manchester United are winning the game convincingly, I'm sure he'll stick Ryan on, because he might be able to have that holding role, and when he gets hold of the ball he can still beat people. I mean, for me over the last 10 years he's been how I would put, I'd say to any young player today, copy what Ryan Giggs has done. The way he conducts himself, the way he plays for his football club. Now and again I see him moaning, but I used to see Bobby Charlton do that. I used to see Bobby Charlton moaning very quietly, but he did it. And I see Ryan Giggs doing that. But Ryan Giggs, for me, for the last 10 years, has probably been one of the best pros I've ever seen.
Adam, I'll have more from you in just a moment. The United